Hey everybody, second part of chapter 11, lesson 1 here, and what we're looking at as we're discussing this again is the kind of the origins of World War II and how or whether or not World War II could have been prevented. And in the minds of a lot of Americans, the answer there is yes. Because let's not forget, if we had done anything to stop any of these dictators from rising to power, whether that was in Japan,
today is cycle day,
or in Italy, or in Germany, we may have seen, or even in the Soviet Union, we may have seen this war not have happened. So a lot of Americans will say, yeah, we could have prevented this war. And then,
may I have your attention, please?
so really, let's take a look here at the second question for the day is why do some people respond to injustice while others try to prevent it? And we're going to focus that question on events that lead us towards war. And one of those events that's going to lead us towards war is when Hitler defies the Treaty of Versailles. I mean, right here, that should have been a clue to people that World War II was coming underway, because you can see Hitler in this cartoon on the right. He's escaping from the Treaty of Versailles. He's going to build an air force. He's going to increase an army, all things that are against the Treaty of Versailles. He's going to bring back that argument that everyone who speaks German should be united in one country, right? We called that self-determination when we studied it in World War I. He's going to bring back that idea again. And in fact, Hitler is going to pursue a treaty with Italy and Japan over the coming years, and they'll be known as the Axis powers. So again, we have alliances beginning to develop. So we have arms races, we have self-determination and alliances. These are all issues that caused war in World War I, and here they are again as we approach World War II. And yet Europeans don't respond to this. They fear another world war, and so because they're a little chicken, they choose not to engage, and they make excuses for that. They say, well, the Treaty of Versailles is unfair. And it was unfair, but not unfair enough to permit an arms race. They say, well, the Nazis might stop this if they get what they want, if they get their self-determination. But again, we don't know that for sure. So World War II is definitely moving along, and in part that's because Europe doesn't respond when injustice happens. So let's take a look at what this looks like in greater detail by looking at how Hitler grabs territory without even firing a shot, because Hitler, in his drive to unite all German-speaking people, will push us closer to war. I'll give you a couple of key examples. The first thing he's going to do is threaten to invade Austria. A lot of German-speaking people in Austria, the Austrians say, we'll vote about it. Hitler doesn't like that. So he actually invades Austria because he's afraid of rejection. And his first grab for territory then comes not during World War II, but by actually sending troops into Austria. And he gives it a fancy name, but his goal there, again, is unifying all German-speaking people. And he does the same thing in 1938, when he threatens to invade the German-speaking areas of Czechoslovakia. And again, he does this without firing a shot. And Britain, France, and the Soviet Union even say that they'll attack Germany if Hitler invades. And Hitler says, well, you know what, let's talk about this. We'll meet at something called the Munich Conference, and let's talk about the fact that I believe in self-determination and I want to unite all German-speaking people. And the nations that greet there, that meet at that place, in particular Britain, France, and Italy, they agree to something called appeasement. That's a vocab word. And appeasement is giving in to demands in exchange for peace. And these nations follow appeasement to keep peace for another year, another 2 years. hoping that Hitler will stop grabbing territory once he's united German-speaking people. Now, critics of this, of course, say that Hitler has lots of demands, and you're never going to avoid war, even if you give him everything that he wants. And they're right, because in 1939, he invades a good part of Czechoslovakia anyway, and Britain and France, they don't do anything about it. So, you know, here we see this guy Hitler, and he's invading all of these different countries. He is looking at finding ways to get a hold of everything he wants in order to, kind of meet his political goals. But the reality is that, World War II probably could have been avoided if they had simply not given him appeasement. So here's what Hitler's empire looks like after he's done all of this. He has got a control of Austria, which I'm circling right here, and he's got control of Czechoslovakia. And now he's going to set his sights on Poland. He's going to want to invade Poland. So how does Hitler do this? Because really, by the time he grabs Czechoslovakia, people know that war is inevitable. So Hitler's demanded Austria, and he got it. He's demanded parts of Czechoslovakia, and he got it. He even invaded a part of Czechoslovakia after agreeing not to do so, and he got it. And so Hitler finally looks at Poland, and he says, there's a city in Poland that's 90% German. It's called Danzig. And he says, I want control of that city, and I want a highway that connects that city to Germany. And Britain and France realize that at this point, Hitler is going to go after what he wants no matter what. So they announce again that if Poland goes to war to defend itself, they would attack Germany. Hitler realizes that this is the reality of the situation, that he will not get what he wants. He will not get this Polish city, even though Danzig is very much German. And he develops an attack plan for Poland. And he realizes that he needs to change the way this system works. Because he looks at this map and he says, well, wait a minute. Here's Germany, or here's Great Britain, rather, and here's France. Now, they've said that they will attack me if I invade Poland. Well, it's not smart to be fighting in front of me and behind me at the same time. So I've got to do something here to make sure that I'm not fighting in front of me and behind me at the same time. So what can I do to make sure that happens? So he begins to negotiate with his old enemy, the Soviet Union. Remember, the Soviets had said they'll invade if he had taken over Czechoslovakia, only to back down. And Hitler says to the Soviets, listen, I won't attack you if you agree to attack Poland with me. You get this half in blue, and I'll get this section right here in red, and we'll split it. We can conquer that really, really fast, and that'll let me give all my attention over here to France and to Great Britain. So Hitler begins these negotiations in secret with the Soviet Union, and the world is shocked because the USSR is a dictatorship. Now, why would the Soviets, the communists, want to ally themselves with Adolf Hitler? Well, remember that the government controls the economy in the Soviet Union. It's communist. The government controls the economy. All these other countries that are out there, Britain and France, which are democracies, Germany, Italy, and Japan, which are dictatorships, they all practice laissez-faire. It's the opposite of communism. So Stalin looks at this and says, if all these other countries who practice laissez-faire want to fight and kill each other, go ahead. We practice communism. The best way to protect myself as a communist is to let everyone who doesn't practice communism kill each other. So Stalin says, that makes sense. I won't fight you, Germany. You go kill each other. All you laissez-faire people go kill each other, and we commies will just stay out of it. And this agreement, this pact, shocks the world. So once that agreement is made, the world pretty much knows that war is coming, and Germany will invade Poland. And they do so using a new technique that we'll take a look at in class called blitzkrieg. Tons of tanks, aircraft, paratroopers surrounding their enemies, breaking them in. And when that happens, when they use blitzkrieg to attack Poland, Britain and France finally declare war on Germany, and World War II in Europe is off to the races. Interestingly enough, they don't attack Germany first. They want to let Germany make the first move. So Hitler says, oh, okay, you want me to make the first move? That's fine. So he's already invaded Poland, right? That's step one. He's got his half of Poland. He gave, right, the other half of Poland to the Soviet Union in that non-aggression pact. So, and if Britain and France aren't going to attack me, then I'll make an awesome plan to attack them. So he waits until May of 1940, the very, another half a year goes by, and he launches an attack into Belgium. Right here, little tiny Belgium. He launches an attack into Belgium, a blitzkrieg into Belgium. And Britain and France were like, ha-ha, we've got you. They attack with an overwhelming force. They send huge armies in to attack Britain, or attack Germany in Belgium. Well, this doesn't look good. A small army invaded Belgium, and now you've got a gigantic army from Britain and France coming in to attack you? That's when Hitler launches a huge blitzkrieg army that he had hid into France to circle around and trap the British and French response. He's got them cornered. In fact, only one spot in France is still available for them to escape, a place called Dunkirk, where they evacuate hundreds of thousands of soldiers in just days, using every boat that could float on the water. France will surrender in just 3 weeks. And now, all of a sudden, Germany is a huge country in control of most of Europe. So Hitler then says, all right, well, I took care of
May I have your attention, please? At this time,
Britain
ninth graders
in
should report to
just a
homeroom.
matter of weeks. Let's go after Britain. So he orders the German Air Force to soften up Britain, to attack British ships in the English Channel. The Battle of Britain begins. It's fought between Germany and Britain. The Germans bomb London and British bomb Berlin. It's people bombing back and forth. The leader of Britain, a guy called the Prime Minister, his name is Winston Churchill, he begins giving speech after speech on the radio to the world, and he wants to rally British support to oppose Hitler after France fell. He wants to show the world that Britain's not giving in. He wants to gain the support of the United States. He wants the British to stay strong. And they do. Scissors beats paper, as you can see right over here. The British Air Force wins. The Germans can't invade. And Hitler will cancel his planned invasion of Britain after the summer of 1940, which means there's only one country left. If he's got control of France and he's not going to invade Britain and he's friends with Italy, well, then the next big enemy on the block to attack, that's the Soviet Union. So he betrays the Soviet Union in June of 1941 in violation of that non-aggression treaty, and he launches a massive invasion of the Soviet Union. And we'll talk more about that in class.